Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, before we start this off, we're going to give all praises, all honor, and glory to Yahweh and Yahweh only, forever and ever, by saying, Kal Yada, Wa Kabawad, Wahawad, La Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Akkad, Alam Wa Alam. Yeah. Now, throughout the scriptures, Yahweh, the Most High, He's continuously warned us about following after the way of other nations, correct? Apparently, He feels like they're an abomination, right? And thinking of that and understanding that when we came out of Egypt, that's when we were considered as a nation, right? So we do know that we had other ways that we learned from other nations, which the words "you shall not," probably was stating things that we shouldn't do that was done from old times, correct? All right. All right. So today I'm going to be going into how homosexuality, aka sodomy, has been running rampant, not just since we came here. When I was like not in the loop being the Yashara, I would hear like the pro-black, people and all that say stuff like, oh, the white man started that homosexuality and all of that stuff. And today, not to let, the oppressor off the hook, but because we know that it's, even though, what I'm saying, the Most High punished us for a lot of these things by surrendering us over to the other nations, okay? In that time frame, they have also continued, they continue to do the same thing to our elders, you know what I mean? Homosexuality, force, but today, once again, I'm going to be going into how this stuff is always been around, and it's something that needs to be purged out of Yashara. All right. Before I go there, let's get into Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13, just to set a foundation on why I'm coming at the premises of this, ancient perversion in Yashara. All right. So it says Leviticus 20 and 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Now, I want to say this. The fact that it says after it demands us, after Yahweh demands us not to lay with mankind as we would with women and vice versa, it tells us that it's a penalty of death by doing so, right? Now I'm going to go into some ancient things that show you that the Most High, when He brought us out of Yashara, He made us to be a separate people, a people of a totally different understanding from what other people did. We were supposed to do the opposite of what most nations did, right? So once again, their blood will be on their hands, right? They will be put to death for sodomy, right? Hold up. Deuteronomy 23:17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Yasharal, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel or Yasharal. Let's go to the ESV version of this real fast, okay? Deuteronomy 23:17, ESB. It says, none of the daughters of Yahshua should be a cult prostitute, and none of the sons of Yahshua shall be a cult prostitute. So both man and woman, right, can be a cult prostitute, a whore, or a sodomite, right? So I was kind of curious on how ancient this thing was, right? So I went and asked Gemini, okay? Now y'all don't go and start just going to AI asking them anything, you know what I mean, and just using it for songs and all this weird stuff, and you know, don't do all of that. But it was a nice little read. All right, let me blow this up. All right, it says, I asked Gemini, give me some ancient cultures that had male cult prostitutes. It says it's important to approach the topic. I ain't reading all that. Ancient Near East, Canaanite cultures. These are biblical references to Kodesh, right? Remember, if y'all didn't know, our language, one word can mean two different things on the good side and the bad side, right? So it says, which are interpreted as male cult prostitutes associated with the worship of fertility deities like Baal and Asherah. These individuals participated in ritual sexual acts. We also got Mesopotamia, Greco-Roman world. Let's read the Greco-Roman world. Ancient Greece and Rome. There are historical records indicating the presence of male prostitution, though the extent to which it is integrated into formal cultic practices is debated. See this? Greco-Roman world. So we do understand that even in these modern times, right, a person, whether they're a celebrity of any sort, well, to have any type of fame or fortune, right? You know, throughout the years, I've always heard people say stuff like, oh, they sold their soul, they're doing this, you know, homosexual acts. The industry is full of what they call it rhyme with maggots, right? And I used to be like, yeah. And I, you know, me personally, I used to do shows and stuff, right? I used to go out and I wanted to be a quote unquote rapper, right? Artist, I should say, really, not rapper, artist. But and as I looked more and more into you know, like what they call the Illuminati and all of that, you know, the conspiracy stuff or those type of things, I would look into those things and it always connect back to some type of sodomy. And sooner or later, I'm like, nah, well, you know, of course, everybody's like, I'm gonna become independent and all of this stuff, right? But one thing that it's being shown is a lot of these people in the sports, entertainment, in the music industry, in the so-called religious sector, especially, they are cult prostitutes, male cult prostitutes. And it's nothing really new, actually. You know what I mean? Nothing at all. You even got, who is this? Mesoamerica, who is the Mayans and the Inca. It says, for the Mayans, say some scholars suggest that the Maya had phallic religious cults. Whoa. If y'all don't know what that is, phallic is, well, go look it up, okay? I'm trying to keep this kind of clean just in case of our children or sensitive ears see this as well. And also for, you know, YouTube purposes. But, and it says Maya had phallic religious cults that may have involved homosexual temple prostitution. The Inca, there are records of young boys being dedicated as temple prostitutes. Okay. Sacred prostitution. Now remember, cult prostitution and things like that have to do with sacrificing of some sort, whether it's a man or woman. But in this case, first of all, it's all an abomination. I don't care if you a quote unquote cult prostitute and you only do one the opposite gender. I don't care. It's still an abomination and it's wicked, right? But this specific Deuteronomy 23:17 is going to link us with Hosea 4:14. Let me show you why. Now, Hosea 4:14. Actually, I'm gonna start at I'm gonna start at 10. It says, they shall eat but not be satisfied, they shall plot a whore, but not multiply, because they have forsaken Yahweh to cherish whoredom, wine, and new wine, which take away the understanding. My people inquire of a piece of wood, and their walking staff gives them oracles, for a spirit of whoredom has led them astray, and they have left their Elohim to play the whore. Wait a minute. Let me pause real fast. Let me show y'all something. For a spirit of whoredom has led them astray, and they have left Yahweh. You see that? The spirit of whoredom has led us astray. Anyway, verse 13. They sacrifice on the tops of the mountains and burn offerings on the hills under oak, poplar, and terebinth, because their shade is good. Therefore, your daughters play the whore, and your brides commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they play the whore, nor your brides when they commit adultery. Wait a minute. Let me pause real fast. Now, our men, we wondering why. Well, not only are they pushing us to the side as men, but they getting with one another. They getting with other nations, and they getting with one another. And it don't seem like nothing being done about it. It seems like everybody's for it. The government's pushing for it. You know, the president, one was, I don't know. You never know with these people. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, the not being punished, or we don't see what should actually be going on, which is it being prohibited. We don't see that's happening. They're being pushed to do it. What's going on? Well, the middle of 14 gonna tell you, Hosea 4:14. I will not punish your daughters when they play the whore, nor your brides when they commit adultery, for the men themselves go aside with prostitutes, right? And sacrifice with cult prostitutes. And the people without understanding shall come to ruin. They sacrifice with cult prostitutes. And so what's a cult prostitute? In the context of ancient religious practices. A cult prostitute or a temple prostitute refers to individuals. Now it says often women. But remember, we just came back and Gemini said, it predominantly, it could be both, right? So it says often women who were dedicated to a deity and engaged in sexual activity within a temple or religious setting as part of a religious ritual or practice. All right. So here in Hosea 4:14, we see even at this time, as our judgment is and our sins are being blatantly thrown out there, what we're doing, being warned to us, what's happening, what's going to happen, all of that. We see that our ancestors were going like the other nations, right? And what they were doing: homosexuality, sodomy, a total abomination, right? The ancient perversion in Yasharal. You see what I'm saying? See, this thing that's been a problem in our nation since our forefathers. We can go back to even the first tribe that was crowned king. That lineage created a crazy abomination. Matter of fact, let's go to Judges. Judges 19. All right. So we're going to see, man, that this little thing right here, this is this to understand. This thing right here, it's been around. But let you, I'm not talking about this rainbow that you see, right? I'm not talking about that, because that has nothing to do with sodomy and homosexuality. That's why we messed up. We are in the pit of wickedness. They've taken everything and turned it upside down. Genesis 9, starting at verse 8. Then Yahweh said to Noah and to his sons with him, behold, I establish a covenant with you and your offspring after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds and the livestock and every beast of the earth with you, as many as came out of the ark. It is for every beast of the earth. I establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And then Yahweh said, this is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I will set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign in the of the covenant between me and the earth. Does this sound like sodomy? Verse 14, when I bring clouds over the earth and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember the covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. Does this, does that, the Genesis 9, does that, uh, uh, when you see a rainbow in the sky, is that a transformer or somebody that want, come on, man. So our enemy then took Yahweh's actual covenant with the earth and every living creature. Well, we're supposed to see that and give praises to Yahweh and remember his covenant and give praises to him. Say, wow, thank you for remembering and speaking to us through this bow and remembering your covenant with us. This is the reason why we still breathe. No, they take it and plant it to something that literally can't even give life. There's no reproduction in sodomy at all. So I don't even understand why, Judges 19 even has to go like this. And I would read a lengthy part of it, but just because at a certain point, you know what I mean, it started getting like, yeah, you just got to read it yourself. You know what I mean? So for time's sake, I'm gonna start at verse 20. I'm gonna start at verse 20. All right. But I encourage you to read yourself and also, to see how, bruh, this is ancient stuff that's going on that shows you that this is something that needs to be purged out of Yasharal. And that's that. When you see people of that sort, and especially if you have to deal with them, maybe it's at work, whatever, you need to bring scriptures out to them and show them, hey, look, I understand you want to do what you want to do, but you do understand that's going against the one that created you, right? So we're going to start at verse 19. Verse 20. It says, and the old man said, peace be to you. I will care for all your wants. Only do not spend the night in the square. So he brought him into the house and gave the donkeys feed, and they washed their feet and ate and drank. As they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, worthless fellows, surrounded the house, beating on the door. And they said to the old man, the master of the house, bring out the man who came into your house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out of him and said no to them, and said to them, no, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Since this man has came to my house, do not do this vile thing. Behold, here are my virgin daughter and his concubine. Let me bring them out now, and they violate them and do with them what seems good to you. But against this man, do not do this outrageous thing. But the men would not listen to him. So the man seized his concubine and made her go out to him. And they knew her and abused her all night until the morning. As the dawn began to break, they let her go. Now, y'all can read the rest of this on your own, right? But I want to hone in on the part that these brothers, I mean, they're Benjamites. They got their own land, right? They're men that can have any woman that they want. It's theirs. I'm pretty sure they probably had women. But the wickedness, as we see, these brothers getting what they say, and as they were making their hearts merry, so that probably mean that they was drinking, getting drunk, highly drunk. And we already know when you consume too much of that stuff can turn you all the way out, right? So we know that they was merry-hearted, whatever that means. But they come beating on the door so they can gang rape, right? A man. before. Now we got to understand this is it's ancient. Like this is so much of a ancient perversion. You don't think that these same Benjamite brothers already heard about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? You don't think that they were already taught that? Yet, behold, what they do. They do the exact, they go and do the same thing. Well, they did worse. We know Sodom and Gomorrah, they ain't even had a chance to do anything. But here, because we know that the ancestors was teaching the children, right? I mean, they had to come on. So they knew what was going on, bro. But they still did it. So this is a on and on going thing that we're talking about. And I can only imagine, you know what I'm saying, how people like Hezekiah, or what about Josiah? People like him, I know he had to be, somebody had to be mad at him, because the scriptures say that he went and destroyed. Matter of fact, Second Kings. Let's go Second Kings, chapter 23. We'll start at verse 1. It says, then the king sent, and all the elders of Yahweh at Jerusalem were gathered to him. And the king went up to the house of Yahweh, and with him all the men of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the priests and the prophets, all the people, both small and great. And he read in the hearing all the words of the book of the covenant that had been found in the house of Yahweh. And the king stood by the pillar and made a covenant before Yahweh to walk after Yahweh and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all his heart and all his soul, to perform the words of the covenant that were written in this book. And all the people joined in the covenant. And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the threshold, to bring out of the temple of Yahweh all the vessels made by Baal and Asherah, and to all the hosts of heaven. He burnt them outside Jerusalem in the fields of the Kidron, and carried their ashes to Bethel. Verse 5. And he deposed the priests whom the kings of Judah, or Yahweh, had ordained to make offerings in the high places at the cities of Judah and around Jerusalem. Those also who burned incense to Baal and the sun, to the sun and the moon and the constellations and all the hosts of heaven. And he brought out the Asherah from the house of Yahweh outside Jerusalem to the brook Kidron, and burnt it at the brook Kidron, and beat it to dust, and cast the dust off of it upon the graves of the common people. And he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes who were in the house of Yahweh, where the women wove hangings for the Asherah. I bet they hated that. Shout out to Josiah, right? Shout out to him. He broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes. But for some odd reason, it winded up creeping right back in. And you know, at this point, I would ask myself, dang, well, it seems like, well, we know that we ain't supposed to do what the other nations do. We know we were surrounded by the other nations. I mean, you know, I understand all that, but well, sheesh though. Like, it seemed like we almost created this or something because we just can't get away from it, right? Now, only reason why I say that is because, you know, to be honest with you, it seemed even the Most High said itself that we were basically worse than Sodom. Let me show you what I'm talking about, bro. Let's go to Ezekiel 16. Okay. All right. I'm gonna start. Well, first of all, let me read verse 2 and 3 first. First of all, okay. It says, Son of man, make known to Jerusalem her abominations, and say, Thus says YAHAWAH'S to Jerusalem, your origin and your birth are of the land of the Canaanites. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother a Hittite. And as for your birth, on the day you were born, your cord was not cut, nor were you washed with water to cleanse you. You rubbed with salt, nor wrapped in swaddling cloth. Wait a minute. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. So if we think about this, right, it seems to me like there must be some type of cultural or historic, like, yeah, cultural differences that is being compared, right? Now, the reason why I say that is because, I want to go to verse 42. All right. It says, So I will satisfy my wrath upon you, and my jealousy shall depart from you. I will be calm and will no more be angry, because you have not remembered the days of your youth, but have enraged me with all your things, all these things. Therefore, behold, I have returned your deeds upon your head, declares YAHAWAH'S. Have you not committed lewdness in addition to all your abominations? Behold, everyone who uses proverbs will use this proverb about you, like mother, like daughter. Now, I know y'all heard that saying, like father, like son, and you know good as well that these people, they switch everything around. You know what I mean? This Babylon, right? So the modern thing that they say is like father, like son. But right here, we can see an ancient proverb given to us is like mother, like daughter. And we're going to show you why. Verse 45. You are the daughter of your mother. You loathe your husband and your children, and you are the sister of your sisters who loathe their husbands and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite, and your eldest sister is Samaria, who lived with the daughters to the north of you, and your younger sister who lived to the south of you is Sodom with her daughters. Not only did you walk in their ways and do according to their abominations, within a very little time, you were more corrupt than in all your ways. Whoa. They say we were more corrupt than they in all their ways, in all their ways. As I live, declares Yahweh, your sister Sodom and her daughters have not done as you, and your daughters have done. Whoa. See, this is what I was talking about. Right here, right? I'm not done, but I just wanted to stop what I'm talking about. Now we know what Sodom and Gomorrah did, right? What the preface of it, right? We know they got destroyed. So much wickedness that they had to be destroyed. But right here, it states that it says, "As I live, declares Yahweh Elohim, your sister Sodom and her daughters have not done as you and your daughters have done." So we created a multiplication of wickedness and perversion, sexual abomination in the world, apparently, than even Sodom and Samaria. And there, verse 49 says, "Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, access of food, prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. They were haughty and did an abomination before me, so I removed them when I saw it. Samaria has not committed half your sins. You have committed more abominations than they have." What? "And have made your sisters appear righteous by all the abominations that you have committed." So this has been a thing. And the Most High is so much of an abomination to his eye that he literally, so much of abomination, he literally compared us to two different nations, right? Now remember, back up here, right? Remember this. Canaanite cultures, right? This was the question about ancient cultures that had male co-prostitutes. And the first one that it popped up was Canaanite cultures, right? So I'm going to read something off that will give us some information on like the Hittites, Amorites, things like that. And why would we be compared to that? Okay, it says Hittites and Amorites, both groups were ancient people who inhabited Canaan before the Israelites. The Hittites, the Hittites were known for their advanced civilization and empire considered in Anatolia, while the Amorites were a Semitic people who played a significant role in the early history of the region. Okay. All right. It says, all right, here we go. All right. It says the Amorites and the Hittites, these groups were often associated with practices that were considered by the Israelites to be pagan and morally corrupt. Therefore, by referencing these groups, the saying is not merely stating someone's lineage, but making a statement about the character, right? Now, it also says that it says that it's a powerful indictment implying that Jerusalem's roots were in the corrupt practices of the Canaanites. The Canaanites, right? So for the Most High to compare us to the Hittites, saying that our mother was a Hittite and our father was an Amorite, would be stating that we took on the ways of the other nations, these other nations, and despicable was like a smoke in his eye, right? So all in all, what needs to be actually brung up in all this is how ancient this stuff goes, right? This is something old we're talking about, and it needs to be purged out. You know, Leviticus 20 and 13 again. All right. It says, if a man lies with the male as with the woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. Now, let's go back to Deuteronomy 23:17. We're going to read this little article after this, and we're going to get up out of here. I need to stay away from this stuff, bro, for real. It's an abomination. It's making us look bad all over. All right. It says, Deuteronomy 23:17, none of the daughters of Yasharah should be a co-prostitute, and none of the sons of Yasharah should be a co-prostitute. Let's take a look at some things of co-prostitutes and passage rights in the biblical world, right? Modern Bible translations often mention co-prostitutes, female or male, and relate them to a goddess called Asherah. Sacred prostitution is attested in the ancient Near East and in some Phoenician Punic colonies in the West, but such cult practices are rarely distinguished in modern publications from passage rights with sexual connotations. Okay. Moreover, the biblical word kodesha or kodesh are related to cult prostitution, while biblical authors simply use them in a disparaging sense, harlot or priestling, without paying attention to scientific etymology. Besides, the alleged divine name Asherah in the Bible results from a misinterpretation of the Semitic common noun shrine, attested in Akkadian, Phoenician, Aramaic, and Hebrew. It is confused in various publications to the theonyms Asherith or Ashereth, as happens occasionally in the Syriac translation of Judges. Okay. The only passage of the Bible referring possibly to co-prostitution is 2 Kings 23:7 that refers to women written housed as a shrine, but it context often corrected mistranslation. So look, there you have it. You can see that this the cult prostitution thing goes right back to sodomy, right? Let's not get caught up on this word cult prostitution as if it's not the same thing as sodomy, because all we got to do is go to a different translation of the same scripture, and it's going to say, there should be no whore of the daughters of Yasharah, nor sodomite of the sons of Yasharah. All right. We can tell that this stuff has been going on for centuries within our nation because we keep following after other nations. We got brothers selling themselves for little and nothing, being cult prostitutes in the making, doing it blatantly, and then they'll come back and try to clean it up. We know the wickedness of our people. Look, like I was saying, it's something that we got to purge up out of here. Hopefully somebody can understand it ain't just about what the enemy did to us and why our community is this messed up. We've been doing these things, and Most High has been giving us mercy for centuries and centuries, even to the point where we've been proclaimed by the Most High to do worse than Sodom and other nations that he destroyed for their abominations. That would let you know that that's enough to tell you the Most High is gracious to us, and we don't need anyone else to tone for it. We're supposed to come up out of it, purge ourselves out of it. And if you have, and I want to say this also to you people that may have done so before knowing the truth, turn away from your abominations, come back to Yahweh. Now, as far as somebody claiming they being in the truth and all of that, and then you do, no, there should not be no whores or no sodomites, the nation of Yasharal. You do not do it. You're not even, once you have given your life to the Most High, that should not even be a thought of your mind. It should be an abomination. It should be an abomination to you as well. You know what I mean? So if you feel as if, you know, well, the Most High, well, God, he made me like this, and no, he didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's an abomination. It's been going on in our nation for too long. For too long. Hey, with that being said, man, I pray the Most High blesses y'all and keep y'all in perfect peace. It's your brother, his will. Another impelling idea. YAHAWAH'S. Shalom.